Hey, welcome to the Stronghold Digital Mining Daily Update. Today's Friday, September 29th, 2023. A very happy birthday to a friend of this channel. You know who you are. Happy birthday. Hey, listen, this is the last day of the week, but it's also the last day of the quarter, right? So we're done with Q3 2023. I was looking back over the many different news releases that came out during this quarter, and perhaps the news release that jumps out as being the most meaningful and significant from my perspective is that Stronghold Digital Mining reached 4 exahash of Bitcoin mining capacity. That's huge. You know, this time last year, the company turned in a lot of their Bitcoin mining machines in exchange for the extinguishment of a lot of debt, like almost $70 million of debt was eliminated. We, returned all these Bitcoin mining machines. At the time, the presumption was that's it. They just turned the keys back in. They're not going to drive anymore. They're not going to mine Bitcoin. This is the beginning of the end. Well, here we are a year later, and our data centers are basically maxed out, right? There is no more room, so to speak, at the existing data centers at Scrubgrass or at Panther Creek for any more Bitcoin mining machines. Stronghold Digital Mining did and accomplished what I think many people thought would have been impossible. Deleveraged the business tremendously from last year to today, while at the same time being able to restock, right, the data centers with Bitcoin mining machines in a way that has been just really capital efficient. We have, right, what I describe as win-win hosting plus agreements with a variety of different companies, the most notable of which arguably is Canaan, which of course is a leading Bitcoin machine, right, Bitcoin mining machine manufacturer. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the very first company to introduce the idea of an ASIC chip for the purposes of mining Bitcoin. You talk about being innovative, that's pretty amazing. So we've got these win-win hosting plus agreements. We also have a lot of our own Bitcoin mining infrastructure. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, anywhere from like 75 to 80% of all the Bitcoin mining machines within our data centers belong to us, right? They belong to Stronghold Digital Mining. They're not part of any win-win hosting plus arrangements. So this quarter has been very momentous insofar as our ability to execute on a plan to refill the data centers with Bitcoin mining machines. Really important. And we did so in a manner that did not incur, another 50, 60, 70 million dollars worth of debt. So we did a really good job of taking care of that in a very capital efficient manner, which is awesome, and I'm really proud of that. Now, our two primary revenue inputs, generally speaking, leaving aside, beneficial use hash and leaving aside any potential future, benefit from capturing our carbon dioxide, right, and sequestering it or utilizing it to make a supplementary, cementitious material, leaving all that stuff aside for a moment, our two present day primary revenue inputs are grid sales, right, selling the electricity that we produce at our waste coal reclamation facilities to the PJM grid, or alternatively, using that electricity to mine Bitcoin. So grid prices, generally speaking, during Q3 2023 have been, let's phrase it this way. They've been modestly better than during Q1 and Q2, but not to the degree of helpfulness as they perhaps were this time last year. Now, I will say that, yes, there were moments without a doubt where we were toggling, right, the data centers off and directing all of the electricity to the grid. And that's awesome. That provides some really useful revenue. But I think we both know, right, that we just haven't seen the strength in the grid like we saw last year. So then that brings us to our Bitcoin mining revenue input. How has that been doing? Well, compared to the option of selling the electricity to the grid, using the electricity to mine Bitcoin has been a phenomenally preferable option. So when we think about waste coal reclamation facilities, Scrubgrass, Panther Creek, and we think about why these purpose-built facilities were created in the first place, they were not created to generate electricity. That wasn't like really the first thought. The first thought was, how do we take this toxic trash, which is strewn all over Pennsylvania, which we typically refer to as coal refuse, waste coal. What do we do with this stuff, right? So these purpose-built facilities provide a means through which we can do something with all that junk, and while fixing and essentially remediating all that crap, we're able to suck out the overwhelming majority of all the carcinogenic crap that's in there. Okay, so that's what these purpose-built facilities were made to do. They can't really do that in a way that makes any economic sense whatsoever if there's no way to pay for that, right? In a perfect world, we get this blank check from the state government or from Uncle Sam in Washington, D.C. saying, hey, here's an unlimited budget to take care of the problem. Okay, great. That would be awesome. That's not the world we live in. I see money going overseas for this, for that, all worthy causes. But, we have to kind of, we sort of have to pay our way, okay? There's unfortunately no blank check for waste coal remediation in Pennsylvania. So, we do have some very helpful waste coal tax credits, right, that are phenomenal. Because we are categorized as a tier 2 type of remediation facility, we do qualify for renewable energy credits that we could essentially utilize to help lower our fuel costs, right? But again, we have to figure out a way to make ends meet to keep doing this mission critical work. That's why Bitcoin became part of this story. Thanks to the vision of Bill Spence, right, the co-founder of the company, to say, hey, why don't we experiment with Bitcoin? What if we, instead of simply having only one option, which is to sell electricity to the grid and then use the money that we generate from selling electricity to help fund our operations, what if there were another thing that we could do with this electricity that could generate more money, which would help these facilities stay in business? So that's where, this whole idea of Bitcoin mining kind of came into the picture. So yes, during Q3 2023, Bitcoin has provided something of a lifeline. Now, hey, this isn't unlike, the allegations made by some environmental groups. We're not, hey, look, as far as I know, we're not swimming in, Olympic-sized swimming pools of cash. All right. And if we are, then I've completely misread our financial statements, because the financial statements I look at point to a company that's barely keeping its head above water. For a variety of reasons, largely stemming from a very anemic, energy market, as well as a still sort of like an after effect of the crypto winter, which some might even argue we're still kind of technically in. So Bitcoin, far from being this horrific thing, is actually largely what's responsible for helping to keep both Scrubgrass and Panther Creek, alive, right, in business. So, to the extent the goal is, we want to actually clean up the Pennsylvania environment, then we want waste coal reclamation facilities such as Scrubgrass and Panther Creek to remain in business, okay? So thankfully, we have Bitcoin as an alternative to pure grid sales, which enables us to generate some useful revenue to help keep us, more or less, we're keeping our head above water in anticipation of what I think we all would probably agree will very likely be a Bitcoin bull run in the relatively not too distant future, okay? And that's kind of the modality we're in right now. Let's stay in business. Let's continue to survive and exist until we get that bull run in Bitcoin, which I just know. You know this too. It's coming. We know that it's coming. I think that's probably one thing we can both agree on, right? We are bullish on Bitcoin. And so if we're bullish on Bitcoin, that's really good news for Stronghold Digital Mining, which is arguably a highly leveraged play on Bitcoin. So here we are. It's the end of the quarter. I'm grateful that Stronghold Digital Mining can continue to do its mission critical waste coal remediation work, and that Bitcoin is playing a constructive role in helping to make that happen. I'm convinced, absolutely convinced, that waste coal reclamation facilities such as Scrubgrass and Panther Creek must be a part of the solution to waste coal here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I've never said it's the only solution. I am saying it is a vital part of the solution. And if and until we get that blank check from Uncle Sam saying, you know what, in lieu of funding endless conflict, hey, we want to clean up the Pennsylvania countryside. In lieu of something like that happening, we're going to have to figure out a way to pay our own way. And the only way to make that happen is to be creative, which is what we've been, to be innovative, which is what we've been, and to be forward thinking, which is what we've been. And that's why we're involved in Bitcoin. That is why our name, right, the company's name is Stronghold Digital Mining. Okay, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Next week begins Q4 2023, the last quarter in this year. And I'm looking forward, as I'm sure you are, to hearing more directly from Stronghold Digital Mining, which I'm anticipating we will sometime next week, at least if nothing else, as it relates to our Bitcoin mining production numbers for September 2023. Okay, let's be positive, let's be great, and we'll see each other again next week.